Hey everybody, Fletch from All Things Overlanding here. On today's video, I'm super excited. It's a Midland video. I've always run Midland, GMRS, CB, that kind of stuff before, but most recently I've really gotten obsessed with my GMRS handhelds. They're awesome. The only downside to them is, obviously they're handheld, they're battery powered. The ones I have charge off AC. So it's just kind of a pain. I would have a pair of them. I'm usually solo, so I could use them. But then if they would die, then it's pretty difficult to charge them. I'd have to charge them off an inverter, and keeping up with them, you know, over the course of a long trip, like a multi-day trip, it just it gets tough to keep them charged. So finally, making the step up to a permanently mounted GMRS unit in my truck. What I went with was the Midland Micro Mobile MXT275. This thing is just a great all-around GMRS unit. It has amazing reviews everywhere that I've ever looked at it. Most of the people that I know that run GMRS run this unit. So some of the things that I'm excited about in this unit are that, you know, all the controls and everything are held within the mic, which is really, really nice. So the unit itself, the sort of the brain of it, is just going to be kind of hidden away in the truck. And then everything is done straight from this. So changing channels, you know, all your controls, power on and off, all of that happens through the controller, which is really cool. And again, as with all Midland products, like, they have really great instructions with them. They have a quick start guide, which just helps make things really easy. And the setup is actually really, really easy. So again, I'm going to kind of walk you through what that looks like, how I'm going to install it in the Xterra, and hopefully help you, because again, when I first got it though, my first thought was, wow, there's a lot of stuff in here. What do I do? But again, thanks to their good instructions, it makes it pretty easy, but hopefully this video makes it even easier. So without further ado, let's dive into the install of the Midland MXT275 GMRS truck mounted unit. I think, so I have a Wii Boost also, which I'll show you the antenna for here. Totally different thing. It's basically a cell phone signal amplifier. The reason for that is just because I go out in the woods a lot and I like to be able to at least have some sort of connection to the outside world. But as a result, that's actually mounted on the other side of the transmission tunnel. So that's probably where I would mount this radio. But so I'm going to have to figure out a way to put it. I'll probably put it on the passenger side. But I wanted to show you all the stuff that comes with the MXT275, because there's a ton of really cool stuff. So you've got the main unit, right? The brain of the device, if you will. Again, the nice thing is, I'm an old school guy, so I'm used to CB and things like that, where it would come with a CB unit that had, you know, the display, the knobs, everything to be controlled, and you would have to mount that somewhere where you could reach it. But in this case, it's actually all controlled on the hand unit itself, on the microphone. So this can be mounted wherever you want, and then you can just control stuff from your microphone. Speaking of that, here is the microphone. Again, all the controls built right into it, which is really nice. Just so you can kind of see it, it does have an extendable spring type, you know, stretchiness to it, but it is only a few feet long. So even if you stretch this out, it's maybe about, actually it's pretty long, maybe 5 or 6 feet that you can get out of this thing. But if you need more, it's kind of nice. They actually provide you with an extension for it. So you do get a pretty long extension. So again, if I mount this on the passenger side, I can run this up underneath my dash just to kind of keep everything clean, keep it tucked away, and then plug this in wherever I'm going to end up mounting it, which will probably be over to the left of my steering wheel, just so that I can get to it, or maybe to the right of my steering wheel. I'm not sure yet. But so with this extension, it gives me a lot of flexibility as far as where I want to mount the brain versus where I want to mount the microphone. Then in addition to that, you also get a DC plug. You can hardwire these things, so just to simplify the installation, I'm just going to plug it in with the DC plug. Then in addition to that, you get a mount for this little stubby antenna, and also a big long cord. So this basically plugs into the main brain unit, if you will, and then goes out to this antenna. If you would prefer though, they also give you an alternative, a little teeny tiny guy, a little magnetic mount, sort of stubby short antenna. So if you wanted to use this, you could use this alternatively. Mine's going to be, again, permanently mounted on my rig, so I'm planning to use the bigger black stubby antenna. So I'll show you that here in a second when I get everything set up. So basically I think it's going to go just right here. I can move this cord a little bit, but the nice thing about this in the Xterra is that, you know, I thought about mounting it up on the dash, something like that. but I actually do pull that off sometimes, just if I need to, like, you know, access my switches for my lights or anything like that. I do access that fairly frequently, so I don't really take apart the center transmission tunnel ever. I'll mount it facing up so then the microphone can just stick straight up from there, and so it should be really accessible and easy to use from there. One tip is to make sure that you mount the unit high enough that you've got enough room to plug the cable into the bottom of it. Alright, so that is mounted. And then the really cool thing is, you can see here there's these channels on the side, and then there are these little clips in here. So basically all you have to do is line this thing up, drop it down in there, and it stays. Pretty simple. Alright guys, so I got my power cables hidden and sort of run up underneath of there. Kind of goes back, you can kind of see it because of the angle that I'm at here, but it goes under the dash and it's kind of zip tied back there just to keep the excess out of the way, and then it comes right there and it plugs in. So, you know, I'm definitely not going to be a pro installer tomorrow, but it'll work. It is mounted in there, it clicked right into place in the little mount, which made it really easy to install, which was nice. Right there is where the mic is going to plug in. Then you've got an extra USB here, which is just kind of nice. You've got an extra little charging port if you need it. And then, of course, we've got to plug our antenna into the bottom of that. So I'm going to run that all the way back through under the dash, zip tie it up there, take it out through the top of the door, I think. And then I have a solution for mounting it to the side of the truck. So just a note here that the antenna coax cable that I've got here, I've actually got this, I didn't realize it at the time, but it is upside down as you see it pictured here. That bracket actually is supposed to be the other way, which I figured out later in the install, so you'll see that later, but just wanted to make sure that that was clear. The ghost antenna should stick up out of the top of it, not be beside that sandwich bracket there. And again, you'll see what I'm talking about here later on. Just didn't want to cause confusion. You know, the nice thing is they give you this thing that's pretty universal. Like, you could either use this with this mount and, you know, attach it to like a bar or something like that, something that it would sandwich in between this and the backing right there. So you could sandwich pretty much anything you could sandwich in between there. You could do that. You could also probably use like self-tapping screws and just screw this directly into whatever you're attaching to. Like if you had a factory roof rack, like my Xterra has an aluminum one, if you could get that to work, you could do that. What I'm going to do actually though is with my rugged bound tent, it's got these nice little channels all the way around it, and it'll take basically like 1/2-inch bolts in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these 2 of these 1/2-inch bolts and a piece of steel, and I'm going to drill holes in the steel where these are, and then I'm going to slide 2 of them in here like this in the channel, and then I'm going to use the stock mount to sandwich this piece of metal that will stick out from these bolts, and then basically tighten those nuts down over top of it, and that will hold it really tight. And then that's how I'm going to mount it. I'm going to mount it right to the side of my tent. So finished up the install of the antenna. Again, I just used a little piece of a U-bolt, like the bottom flat part, and a couple of 1/2-inch, for my tent anyways, 1/2-inch bolts that I ground down a little bit, and then some nuts to hold the metal on, and then I just sandwiched that between for the antenna mount. So as you can see, up there's the big tall Wii Boost, and then back there is the little ghost antenna for the GMRS. I think it should be okay there. It is pretty much the highest point on the vehicle. If I need to get it higher, we'll see how it does, but there are some channels up on top of the rooftop tent that I could put it up there too. My only concern about that is with a cable coming off of it and opening the tent, I'm going to have to leave enough room for play in that, which I'd rather it just be firm mounted on the side here. So again, it may be just fine. I've seen some other people that mounted them on the sides of their rooftop tents or the sides of their racks, and it seemed to be okay, so it should be okay. Originally I was going to stick the mount for the mic up here on top, just because then I could kind of see the display a little bit. I could definitely hear the audio and everything, so I kind of liked that placement. But here's the problem with my Xterra anyways, is this is really porous, and I'm sure it's dusty. I tried wiping it off with some alcohol wipes, but I could not get the sticky stuff on the mic holder to stay stuck. It kept falling off. So what I'm going to do is I actually decided that's kind of high. It's kind of straining the cord a little bit to put it up there. And actually right here would probably be a little bit better because it's just right down at, arm length where I can just sort of, reach over and grab it. I can still see the display. I'll be able to hear it and everything there too. So what I did was I drilled a couple little pilot holes I found a couple of little, just loose screws that I had laying around. There are 2 screws that come in this that hold the sticky back onto the mic holder. So I just removed that part, and then again, I'm just going to screw these screws into those pilot holes there, and that thing is not going to move. So that thing is going to stay right there, and then I can, slap my mic right up into there, and I'll be all done. So just wanted to kind of share that with you. That was the only sort of quote-unquote difficulty that I've had in this whole install, is getting the sticky stuff to stick, which is pretty common. So anyways, just going to mount it right down there and we'll be good to go. So that is it. So again, thanks to Midland for making such great products. I've had really good luck with them. I'm super excited to use this. I did test it the other day and drove a couple miles away and radioed my 11-year-old back at the house, and he could still hear me from a couple miles away. So I was pretty impressed with that. That should be great on the trails. So excited to use it. And I'll be bringing you guys, I'm sure, more videos of it in the future, but just wanted to get this install video together for you now. So if you have any questions or anything, of course, just post up in the comments down below. Let me know. If you don't already, make sure to click that subscribe button, click the bell to be notified when new videos come out. And there are also links to Facebook, Instagram, and the podcast below. So if you hang out on any of those channels and you want to come join the conversation, I'd love to have you. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.